world map. And according to Garrison Keillor, this is National Public Radio, March 22nd, 1997, another survey revealed that nearly 15% couldn't locate the United States. Keillor remarked that this was like not being able to grab your rear end with both hands, unquote, and he suggested that we stop being so assiduous on the eve of elections about trying to get out the vote. Why are we so assiduous? I can't figure that out. A survey taken in October 1996 revealed that 1 in 10 voters did not know who the Republican or Democratic nominees for president were. This is particularly sobering when one remembers that one of the questions traditionally asked in psychiatric wards as part of the test for sanity is, who is the president of the United States? 1 out of 10 Americans are clinically insane. These are your neighbors. They borrow sugar from you. Very few Americans understand the degree to which corporations have taken over their lives, but according to a poll taken by Time magazine, nearly 70% of them believe in the existence of angels. Another study turned up the fact that 50% believe in the presence of UFOs and space aliens on Earth, while a Gallup poll in 1997 revealed that 71% believe that the U.S. government is engaged in a cover-up about the subject. More than 30% believe they have made contact with the dead. A 1995 article in the New York Times reported the results of a survey that revealed that 40% of American adults, this could be upward of 70 million people, did not know that Germany was our enemy in World War II. A Roper survey conducted in 1996 revealed that 84% of American college seniors couldn't say who was president at the start of the Korean War. 58% of American high school seniors cannot understand a newspaper editorial in any newspaper. And the U.S. Department of Education survey of 22,000 students in 1995 revealed that 50% were unaware of the Cold War and 60% had no idea how the United States came into existence. At one point in 1996, Jay Leno invited a number of high school students to be on his television program and asked them to complete famous quotations from major American documents such as the Gettysburg Address, Declaration of Independence. Their response in each case was to stare at him blankly. As a kind of follow-up on his show of June 3rd, 1999, Leno screened a video of interviews he had conducted a few days before at a university graduation ceremony. He did not identify the institution in question. He told his TV audience only that the students he had interviewed include graduate students as well as undergraduates. The group included men, women, and people of color. Leno posed 8 questions as follows. 1. Who designed the first American flag? Answers included Susan B. Anthony, who was born in 1820, and Betsy Ford. 2. What were the 13 colonies free from after the American Revolution? One student said the East Coast. Love that. 3. What was the Gettysburg Address? One student replied, an address to Getty. Another said, I don't know the exact address. 4. Who invented the light bulb? Answers included Thomas Jefferson. 5. What is 3 squared? One student said 27, another said 6. What is the boiling point of water? Answers included 115 degrees Fahrenheit. 7. How long does it take the Earth to rotate once on its axis? The two answers Leno received here were light years, which is a measure of distance, not time, and, go figure this one out, 24 axes. 8. How many moons does the Earth have? The student question said she had taken astronomy a few years back and had gotten an A in the course, but that she couldn't remember the correct answer. How many moons does the Earth have? What would Galileo think? He was dealing with 4, It is important to note that not a single student interviewed had the correct answer to any of these questions. Leno's comment on this pathetic debacle says it all. And the Chinese are stealing secrets from us? A 1998 survey by the National Constitution Center revealed that only 41% of American teenagers can name the 3 branches of government, but 59% can name the 3 stooges. Only 2% can name the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. 26% were unable to identify the Vice President. In the early 1990s, the National Assessment of Education Progress reported that 50% of 17-year-olds could not express 9 over 100 as a percentage, and nearly 50% couldn't place the Civil War in the correct half-century. Data that the San Antonio Express-News characterized as, quote, evidence of the steady lobotomizing of American culture. In another study of 17-year-olds, only 4% could read a bus schedule Only 12% could arrange 6 common fractions in order of size. Ignorance of the most elementary scientific facts on the part of American adults is nothing less than breathtaking. In a survey conducted for the National Science Foundation in October 1995, 56% of those polled said electrons were larger than atoms. 63% said that the earliest human beings lived at the same time as the dinosaurs, a chronological error of more than 60 million years. 53% said the Earth revolves around the sun in either a day or a month. That is, only 47% understood that it takes a year for the Earth to get around the sun. And 91% were unable to state what a molecule was. A random telephone survey of more than 2,000 adults conducted by Northern Illinois University revealed that 21% believed that the sun revolved around the Earth, with an additional 7% saying that they didn't know which revolved around which. It's 49th, not 48th. Of the 158 countries in the United Nations, the United States ranks 49th in literacy. Roughly 60% of the adult population has never read a book of any kind, and only 6% reads as much as a book a year, where book is defined to include harlequin romances and self-help novels. Self-help manuals, sorry. Something like 120 million adults are illiterate or read at no better than a 5th grade level. Among readers aged 21 to 35, 67% regularly read a daily newspaper in 1965, as compared with 31% in 1998. In a telephone survey conducted in 1998, 12% of Americans asked who the wife of the biblical Noah was said Joan of Arc. You know, Noah and Mrs. Ark, right? In 1997, as a hoax, the Attorney General of the state of Missouri submitted a proposal to an international academic accrediting agency to establish an institution he named Eastern Missouri Business College, which would grant doctorates in marine biology and genetic engineering, as well as in business. The faculty would include, inter alia, Mo Howard, Jerome Howard, and Larry Fine. That is the Three Stooges. And the proposed motto on the college seal, roughly translated from Latin, was, "Education is for the birds." The response, academic accreditation, was granted. In 1998, the Massachusetts Board of Education instituted a literacy test for teachers, pegged at the level of an exam of a high school equivalency diploma. Of the 1,800 prospective teachers who took it, 59% failed. This is grammar and spelling, you know. In response to this, the interim commissioner of education, one Frank Haydu III, may his name be blessed, announced that the passing grade would be lowered. The board finally reversed the decision and the commissioner resigned, but that 59% of a large group of potential teachers had severe problems with high school spelling and punctuation, and that the educational administrator would declare that this is no obstacle to the performance of their jobs, is as good an indicator as any of the twilight phase of our nation. Then I have a number of anecdotes here that I'm sure you all, have a sign outside of a hospital. It's up on Capitol Hill. Maybe they took it down by now. I don't know. It's outside of a hospital in Washington, D.C. Infant, Children, and Adult Care. Children is spelled CHILDERN. This is a manufactured sign. It wasn't, we're not talking magic markers here. They made a sign. A visit I made a few years ago to several creative writing classes at a college in the Midwest, only to discover that not a single student in any of these classes had ever heard of Robert Browning, whereas I was memorizing My Last Duchess when I was in high school. A colleague at the same school telling me that one of his students, a 20-year-old male, said he had never read a novel. Well, you get the idea. I mean, it's one other. I'm asked to give a lecture at a Southwestern university on, quote, the crisis of American intelligence. The talk is written up for the school newspaper by a student in her late 30s in an article of fewer than 250 words. That's one page, double-spaced type. There are 7 errors of elementary grammar and 1 completely incoherent sentence. I am guessing that this was not a deliberate attempt to satirize the lecture, which would have, in fact, been wonderful. So, this is just one part of this whole thing, really. And what are we left with? I talk about the whole issue of the monastic option. Oh, one more anecdote I have to. You know, I'm getting email as a result of publishing the book. Okay. So people say, you think that's bad? Let me think, you know. This is from somebody in Michigan. This was related to me by my mother, whose simple high school education in the 20s still puts her intelligence level far above most of young people today. She went down to her local drugstore, which contains a post office, to mail a package to New Mexico. The clerk told her there was no New Mexico, there was only Mexico. My mother insisted, and the clerk said there was no such state as New Mexico. They actually had to call in a supervisor to settle the matter, who confirmed to the clerk by showing him on a map that there was indeed a state named New Mexico. And then he gives me this bit of information that on ABC television, February 3rd this year, Peter Jennings did a thing on the Grand Canyon stamp. I was unaware of this, that the post office had run off thousands and thousands of stamps, you know, welcome to Colorado, showing the Grand Canyon. It's in Arizona. They had to destroy thousands of stamps. Who's doing this, you know? Anyway, I mean, that's the general gist of it. And as I say, that, you know, there are all these other factors that are involved in our decline. I just wanted to conclude with the Millennium editorial in the New York Times, January 1st, 2000. Just a little paragraph. No civilization lasts forever. America, 1,000 years hence, will be something very different, if it exists at all. None of this, however, relieves us of the obligation to do what is within our power. That is, to help form the future by bequeathing the best of what we have learned about constructing and sustaining an enlightened civilization. History teaches that the surest way to reach across time is through the transmission of enduring values and ideals. The convictions of Washington and Jefferson still guide us today, just as the ideas of the ancient Greeks and Enlightenment philosophers emboldened them. We have a similar opportunity to inspire coming generations by projecting toward them the principles that we have honed in more recent times. That can be the distinctive legacy of our age. Thank you. So, questions? Yeah.
There was a cartoon in the New Yorker a number of years ago of there's a bar, and these gentlemen in their fedoras are sitting around looking glumly at one another. One of them says something like, if it wasn't for the American sense of humor, this country would be in a hell of a mess. And I wanted to ask you, well, what about the great American sense of humor? Isn't that going to...
Well, I'm trying to be a representative of that, obviously. I don't know if I've succeeded. But, you know, I mean, I think that's fine. I don't know. You see, the problems that I'm really describing in this book are structural. This book got reviewed 1 week ago today in the Christian Science Monitor. It was reviewed together with a book that I haven't read, but the title was something like The Promise Ahead or something like that, you know. And typically, the author of that book, from what I understand from the review, said, well, the real answer is we've got to mature. See, we've got to give up our obsession with consumerism, and we've got to be less egotistical and self-absorbed. And great prescription. I don't know how you make that happen. I don't know how that has anything to do with structural factors that bring a civilization down. Humor is fine. I mean, I think that's, you know, you might think from what I wrote that I'm a pretty pessimistic guy. Actually, I get up in the morning, I feel quite upbeat, you know. But it's, I mean, that's fine. But I don't think things like that, we're talking about a train that's running down tracks. And you can, you know, tickle it with a feather and whisper this and that. But its course, I think, is pretty clear. So I think humor can help us get through this.
What do you think the role of technology is going to be to try to change this going down the tracks?
As far as I can see, it's made things demonstrably worse, especially since the microchip revolution from about 1985. That is to say, it's created a society in which people don't really talk to each other. They talk to somebody else on a cell phone while they're in a restaurant. I mean, working in the Johns Hopkins library, cell phones go off and students answer the phones. And what are you doing? You know, I mean, it's a library. And there's, you know, that's the kind of communication. Or they sit in front of screens all day. It's also been something that fuels the consumer economy, you know. I remember in 1984,